I've always loved time travel movies. I remember, I think the first one I ever saw was based on H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. And I've loved them ever since. And so many, especially nowadays with all the Marvel movies, and there's time travel's just like, oh yeah, time travel, the multiverse, yeah. And it's sort of part of our cultural language. Now, for me, I've always marveled at the fact that the brain is the ultimate time machine. Because in our minds, we can travel back in the past and off into the future. And that's kind of cool. But I've also always thought, boy, it'd be handy to have a real one. And I've always thought that you could take care of most of people's problems if you had one that was just programmed 6 months ahead. Like it could only travel 6 months into the future and back. Because most of the problems that in the moment look insurmountable don't even exist 6 months in the future. And if you could just glimpse that, it would take this kind of pressure and dread that a lot of us live with as part of our kind of just normal day-to-day lives. Yeah, but what if this time it doesn't? But where it gets really interesting to me is when I imagine somebody coming to our time from the past. So imagine somebody before the days of the telephone, before Alexander Graham Bell. And, he came to the future and said, so what's different? And people said, oh, communication is so much easier than it used to be. And he goes, oh, do you have telegraph lines everywhere now? So that you can telegraph anyone? Do people have telegraphs in their own home? Oh my God, that would be amazing. And you're like, no, everyone has these devices in their pocket and they can just talk into them and hear each other. I remember a quote I once heard from Henry Ford where he said, if I'd listened to what people said they wanted, I wouldn't have built a car, I would have built a faster horse and buggy. So you can imagine, back when it looked like the state-of-the-art transport were horse and buggies, well, how do I get faster horses? How do I get better tires on my buggy? Right? Those were the kinds of questions that when people imagined the future, it was just the present as it is, slightly better or very much better. So when we look to the future and try and envision a future that works for everyone, try and envision a world where the economic crises and the environmental crises and the interpersonal crises and racism and sexism and all the isms are no longer a problem. We're always thinking about it as an improvement on what we have now. One of the few Einstein quotes that, as best I can tell, he actually said is that you can't solve a problem at the same level of thinking that created it. Well, we can't envision a future by trying to improve upon the present or the past. We have to actually go to nothing, to the blank page, to the drawing board, to what the artist Michel Cassou calls point zero on the grid, where you can go in any direction. Because what will change the world will not be a better version of the world as it is now. It will be a whole new world.